Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome to my Premier League Match Week 21 predictions, where today, I know I said in every single video, we've got some big games to talk about. And just to showcase how big things are this match week, starting off with game number 1 for Premier League Match Week 21, we have Liverpool versus Chelsea. I mean, what a way to start off a Premier League Match Week. As you know, neither of these two teams have been fantastic, only 8 wins apiece, which, considering the caliber of these two teams, it is absolutely shocking. I do think heading into this, it could be a tiny bit of a sack race, and I know normally people associate sack races with fun camping family trips, and not necessarily losing your job.
You're fired.
But looking at Graham Potter for Chelsea, been absolutely horrible. Looking at Liverpool, they've had an awful season overall, just losing 3-0 to Brighton. And it is absolutely everything on the line for these two teams. Obviously, in the last 10 meetings, I believe in the last 3 games, there have been 3 draws. So it has every single possibility of being a close game. I do think, though, I do want to be a tiny bit more exciting, a bit more out there with my prediction than just a boring draw.
Danger's my middle name.
And because of that, I'm going to go with a 1-0 win in Liverpool's favour. Once again, I don't necessarily have reasons for that. I do think in terms of one team being worse than the other, Chelsea have been a bit more disappointing in terms of the way they've been playing. I mean, just looking at things, they've had more signings this season than wins. Now, I wish there was some kind of setup to a joke, but it's not. It's the reality. The fact that Chelsea are not getting wins, the fact that they brought in so many players, it is so disappointing, and I do think Liverpool will take it. Now, of course, before we jump into our second game, being Bournemouth versus Nottingham Forest, let me not forget to remind you guys that if you guys do enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe down below. The only reason we didn't reach 10,000 subscribers last year is because the likes of Darwin Núñez was trying to hit the subscribe button, and he just could not hit it. Right. So of course, if you want to prove that you're more accurate than Darwin Núñez, don't forget to subscribe down below. I would appreciate it. But of course, no more stupid jokes, although there probably will be a few. We have Bournemouth versus Nottingham Forest next. Now, looking at Nottingham Forest, they are in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Now, as a Manchester United fan, it is going to break every single part of my body, of my belief, of my mind, if Jesse Lingard wins a trophy before Manchester United.
Do not even. No.
It would absolutely break me. But looking at Nottingham Forest, they've been really decent as of late. Of course, they've only gotten 1 loss in they lost like 5-6 games. It is absolutely brilliant. Looking at Bournemouth, although, they've got moments of looking okay. Unfortunately, I do think that they are nowhere near the level of Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest being 13th place, very impressive. And I do think Forest will take it 2-0, by far the better team. And no excuses for them. Now, heading into our next game, we've got Leicester City versus Brighton. And talking about excuses, I mean, Brighton have just lost the likes of Trossard, who looks to be set to a move to either Chelsea or Arsenal.
Whoa, no touchy. No touchy. No touch.
But looking at Trossard, although I want to say that he's a key gear in this kind of system of Brighton, even without him, they won 3-0 past Liverpool. So I think they'll be okay versus a very much struggling Leicester City team. Once again, Leicester, you have been nowhere near the level you have to be this season. And versus a very informed Brighton team who are looking to fight for European football, I can only see one winner. Now, heading on, we've got the likes of Southampton versus Aston Villa. Now, looking at Southampton, once again, what a weird team. Only 4 wins in the Premier League this season, dead last in the Premier League, yet also in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Once again, football is such a weird sport, and you never know what to say about Southampton. It all depends whether James Ward-Prowse goes Super Saiyan or not. But looking at Southampton versus Aston Villa, I do think Aston Villa are by far the better team. Once again, getting some big results versus some top teams. So versus a team like Southampton who have been struggling, I do think Aston Villa will win it, and they could fight for top 10. They could overtake the likes of Chelsea.
Them's fighting words.
I do think Southampton, unfortunately, unless they get a free kick opportunity, they won't score, but I do think Aston Villa will win it. Now, heading into our next game, talking about a sack race, we have West Ham versus Everton, both teams in the relegation zone, and this has to be one of the first games in history where if these two teams draw, both managers could get sacked. Once again, I've got no idea how either of these two teams ended up in their situation. It's not a matter of who's the better team here, it's unfortunately a matter of who's the worst team here. I genuinely don't think that I could pull anything positive for these two teams, and I do think it will end up being a draw. Now, heading on, we've got Crystal Palace versus Newcastle. Now, I don't want to talk about Crystal Palace.
I prefer really not to
not to speak.
Because I've just watched that 1-1 draw versus Manchester United where, I mean, talk about a free kick. That's one of the best free kicks I've ever seen in my life. Yet at least he celebrated like his dog just got put down. Once again, a very underwhelming celebration. And looking at Crystal Palace, once again, when they switch on, they can be good. But versus Newcastle United, who once again only one loss this entire season, I do think Newcastle will take it. Although Bruno Guimaraes is injured in their midfield, they've still got an absolutely brilliant team, defensively been super solid. And versus Crystal Palace, although they did have a good result, I can only see one winner. We've got Leeds versus Brentford. Now looking at Leeds, they've been brilliant in the FA Cup. They've just come off of a very strong 5-2 win, showing that on the attacking front that they can be a solid team. But defensively, I'm still very worried about them, especially versus this Brentford team that have only lost 4 games all season. Once again, there's a clear favourite here, and I do think Brentford will take it. They haven't really given me any reason to be disappointed or to really judge why they wouldn't get a win here. The Premier League must have a bee allergy at the moment because no one seems to be able to fend them off at the moment. Now, heading on to our next game, we've got Man City versus Wolves. Now, looking at Man City, this is recorded before the Man City Tottenham Hotspurs game, so I've got no idea what that result will be.
Don't give me hope.
But looking at Man City, I don't know what's happened to them at the moment, but they just seem to be dropping massive points. I mean, versus Manchester United, I mean, unfortunately, it just wasn't the Man City that we're kind of used to seeing. And even versus Wolves at the moment, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of worried. I remember there was a period in time where Wolves kept on getting the better of Man City about 2-3 years ago. But saying that once again, Man City have proven in recent history that they can score goals and they can score a lot of goals. Versus Wolves. Once again, although Wolves kind of unpredictable at the moment, I still don't have faith in their ability in terms of attacking. They just don't seem to be there. So I do think Man City should be safe, and I do think Pep Guardiola will be looking for at least a 3-0 win. Now heading on to our next game, which is, I would argue, the biggest game of the match week with Arsenal versus Manchester United. Now looking at Arsenal, only one loss this entire season, but guess who it was against? It was Manchester United. Now yes, I know Manchester United just drew versus Crystal Palace, which it's not the most convincing of results, but looking at Man United, they have been brilliant all season. I really am kind of here and there about Wout van Gaal, whether he is the right striker for Man United, but looking at these two teams head to head, I believe it could be an incredibly close game. And to be honest, as a United fan, although I want to give United the win, and although Arsenal top of the table, I definitely think they could take it, my honest God-to-truth answer is going to be, I do think there will be a 2-2 draw. I do think looking at these two teams, they're going to give it absolutely everything. They've both been brilliant as of late throughout this season and really battling it out. I mean, we could be seeing first and second in the Premier League here. I do think it will be a draw as these two teams are incredibly close. Now, that does take us to our last game of Premier League Match Week 21, which of course, don't forget, if you guys have enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe down below. But looking at Fulham versus Tottenham, as I said, I haven't seen Spurs play against Man City yet, but 5th versus 6th in the Premier League. How on earth have Fulham pulled off what they have? I mean, if there's one team right now who Tottenham could be worried about, it is Fulham. Fulham could steal Spurs' European spot. I do think Fulham have a lot to offer at the moment, defensively and attacking wise, but for some reason I do still think Tottenham Hotspurs will take it. No, they weren't brilliant versus Arsenal. I mean, the only thing more red than London that match week was Antonio Conte's face, probably in the dressing room with the amount of anger he had.
Yeah, I prefer to kill him.
But looking at Tottenham Hotspurs, once again, we know when they do switch on, they can be super good. And I have seen moments of their play where they look like they can break through. I do think Fulham have every right to take it, but I am going to give it to Spurs because of a gut feeling. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for today's video. Once again, if you have enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe down below. Don't forget to leave a like down below, and I'll see you all very soon. Cheers. Bye.